Kaleidoscope of Careers is brought to you by the National and State Occupational Information Coordinating Committees and was produced by the South Carolina Employment Security Commission and Media Associates Productions.
Kaleidoscope of Careers, Kaleidoscope of Careers. What kind of work will I be doing in the coming years? How can I best utilize the talents I possess or choose one occupation from all the rest? Kaleidoscope of Careers, Kaleidoscope of Careers. What choices will you make from the choices you are given? We'll take you to the places, introduce you to some faces, and listen to the people who are working for a living.
Financial managers.
Large companies and government agencies that earn or spend large sums of money usually have an entire department to handle this money. The head of the department is a financial manager. Financial managers help ensure that the money is used wisely. They approve requests for money by other departments and direct investments. They help make and interpret financial policies, work to lower costs and taxes, and prepare records and reports.
College and university administrators.
All colleges and universities have administrators who plan, organize, and direct activities and programs.
Usually, each area or department has an administrator. Athletics, admissions, student activities, and various academic areas are all directed by administrators.
Depending on their areas, these administrators do everything from hiring and firing faculty members to helping students with personal problems.
Elementary and secondary education administrators.
In elementary and high schools, administrators work as principals, assistant principals, or deans. They direct all the school activities, educational, administrative, and counseling. These administrators assign teachers and pupils to classes, enforce rules and plan programs, and work with parents and students to correct behavior problems. They set standards and review their school's educational programs frequently to be sure that these standards are met.
Industrial production managers.
In this plant, I'm responsible for the production of electric motor parts. As an industrial production manager, I work with the supervisors of different departments to be certain we have enough workers and raw materials to meet all our orders on time. Sometimes that means hiring and training extra workers or running the plant overtime. I have to keep up with everything that goes on here every day so we don't produce too little or too much.
Construction managers.
When a large building, a road, or a bridge is built, detailed plans are made. Then one person has to be in charge of the whole project to ensure that the final structure matches the plans exactly. That person is the construction manager. Construction managers order all the materials and decide what workers and equipment are needed. They direct the work and follow its progress to make sure construction will be finished on time.
Postmasters and
mail superintendents.
Mail carriers are the part of the Postal Service that we see every day. But nearly every community has a large or small post office, and the people in charge there are postmasters and mail supervisors. Postmasters or mail superintendents are responsible for the operations of post offices. They supervise, hire, and train clerks, mail carriers, and others, and plan work schedules so the mail is delivered on time. They also give information to the public.
Food serving and lodging
establishment managers.
As food service manager of this restaurant, I'm in charge of nearly everything here. I set the menu and prices, and order supplies from silverware to groceries. Waiters, cleaners, and cooks work under my supervision, and I'm responsible for giving customers good food and service, as well as hiring, training, and paying workers. Then some food service managers own their restaurants, and others work in hotels, schools, resorts, or hospitals.
Accountants and auditors.
Accurate financial records and information are vital to both large and small businesses, as well as to individuals. This information is used for decision-making and planning. Accountants advise businesses and individuals on finances, including taxes, and show them ways to make larger profits. Auditors may examine their clients' business or tax records to make sure that they are correct.
Management analyst.
Almost any business or government agency can be operated more efficiently and effectively. My job as a management analyst is to show them how. I go into a business and study its operations, looking at everything from the way offices are laid out to the record-keeping methods. Then I recommend better ways of conducting the business. I might suggest new office machines, a different type of business forms, or a change in work hours.
Personnel training and labor relations specialist.
Alicia Bennett is a personnel specialist with a large company. She prepares descriptions of the various jobs in the company, and when there's a vacancy, recruits and hires workers. Most workers are given tests and interviews before hiring. Alicia also helps direct benefit programs that determine the amount of salary, insurance, and vacation each worker gets. If a worker is having problems on the job, Alicia helps get them straightened out.
Purchasing agent and buyers.
In a business or industry, work would stop if supplies or material weren't there when they were needed. Ann Menger's job is to see that this doesn't happen. She's a purchasing agent for a large university. She buys raw materials before supplies get low, after choosing the seller with the best value. She works closely with others in the university to learn what they need, then meets with salespeople to see their products and arrange prices and delivery dates.
Construction inspectors.
To be certain that buildings, roads, and other structures are safe, government regulations must be followed during construction. Joe Jones is a construction inspector. He checks closely during construction or repair work to see that the right materials and methods are being used. Some inspectors, like Joe, check the structure and foundations. Others inspect the electrical systems, and still others look at plumbing, heating, and air conditioning.
Architects.
When the owners of this building decided to put offices here, they talked to me first. I'm an architect, and I design all sorts of buildings. First, I study the land to see what will fit. Then I make drawings to show everything about the building, from the plumbing to the window sizes. And then I supervise the builders so the building, whether it's a house or a parking garage, will be exactly what the owner wants.
Metallurgical and materials
engineer.
Most metals come from ores. Metallurgical engineers seek new methods of extracting and refining the metal so it can be used. Other metallurgical engineers develop new types and combinations of metals to meet specific needs, such as resistance to heat or lightweight. An example of this is the new metals used for the outside of spaceships. Because the world supply of ore is being used up, some of these engineers look for ways to recycle metals for new uses.
Mining engineers.
mining engineers locate, extract, and prepare minerals like coal and metal ores to be used in manufacturing. They design mines for safety and efficiency and supervise their construction. Some mining engineers develop better and less expensive mining methods and equipment, or better ways of separating minerals from dirt and rocks. A relatively new area for these engineers is the recovery of minerals from the ocean.
Petroleum engineers.
The oil industry is vital to meeting the world's energy needs, and petroleum engineers play a big role in this industry. They plan and supervise the way oil and natural gas are found, obtained, shipped, and stored. Petroleum engineers decide the best locations for oil and gas wells and direct their drilling and operations. They also supervise oil field and pipeline workers. American petroleum engineers work in offices or outdoors, here and around the world.
Chemical engineers.
Chemical engineers like Pedro Rosario work in all phases of chemical production, either developing new ways to make chemical products or designing and operating the facilities that process chemicals. Some chemical engineers are specialists in fields like pollution control, and some are specialists in developing drugs. Most chemical engineers have to understand not only the field of chemistry, but mechanical and electrical engineering and physics.
Aerospace engineers.
Aerospace engineers like I am are usually people who are fascinated by flight. We design, develop, and test airplanes, helicopters, missiles, and spacecraft, and help in their production. New ideas and technology in aviation and space travel are usually the result of years of work by aerospace engineers. And when a new type of airplane is first flown, the pilot knows we have completely tested models just like it to be sure it's safe.
Nuclear engineers.
Nuclear engineers specialize in the development and uses of atomic power. Some of them direct the operation of power plants, like this one where I work. Others design, develop, or test equipment used with nuclear energy. A big area of research by nuclear engineers is the disposal of radioactive wastes. Atomic energy is an important field for the future, and nuclear engineers are involved in both private industry and in government or military work.
Civil engineers.
Civil engineers are in the oldest field of engineering. They design and supervise the construction of roads, airports, harbors, tunnels, bridges, water and sewer systems, and buildings. Many civil engineers specialize in a particular area, such as transportation, which includes the highways and railroads, the environment, which includes things like wastewater treatment facilities or urban planning. A large percentage of them work for the government.
Agricultural
engineers.
The work of agricultural engineers helps ensure that we will have enough farm products to feed and clothe people in years to come. These engineers design farm equipment, conservation measures, and develop better ways to produce and process crops. They are involved with conservation and management of our resources like soil and water. Agricultural engineers are employed with the government and equipment makers to help farmers do a more efficient job.
Electrical and electronic engineers.
Electrical engineers design, develop, test, and supervise the manufacture of such things as the power generating and transmission equipment used by electric utility companies, electric motors, and lighting and wiring for buildings. Some electrical engineers also operate the facilities that generate and distribute electric power. Electronic engineers specialize in electronic equipment, such as radar, computers, communications, and consumer goods like televisions and stereos.
Industrial engineers.
Industrial engineers are more involved with people than most other engineers. They look for ways to make the best, most efficient use of people, machines, and materials in business and industry. They find the best location for a plant, so it will be close to raw materials, transportation, and workers. Then they plan the plant's layout to increase productivity and safety. They are experts on how people and machines work together.
Mechanical engineers.
Mechanical engineers work with the production, transmission, and use of power, whether in jet engines, elevators, or factory equipment. Most of us specialize in a particular area. My field is heating and air conditioning, and I work for a firm that designs large buildings. While many mechanical engineers do research and testing, I usually use existing technology to plan the heating, cooling, and ventilation for all of our projects.
Computer engineers.
Computers and computer equipment are complex, and planning and designing them is highly technical work.
This research, development, and design work is done by computer engineers working for large industries, research institutes, or the government.
Computer engineers also advise companies on the equipment they should have to meet specific needs and prepare reports detailing solutions to computer equipment problems.
Surveyors and mapping scientists.
Jack West and Jim Futter are land surveyors. They measure land and establish where legal boundaries and landmarks are so that land can be sold or construction done. They help determine the value of a piece of land, and their measurements help determine just where a highway or building will go. Cartographers or map makers use the same kind of information Jack and Jim gather, along with photographs, to draw accurate maps of small or large areas.
Computer scientist.
As a computer scientist, I'm a problem solver. I do most of my work for a major industry, but computer scientists also work on technical problems for small businesses, governments, and schools. When I've determined the data and procedures needed, a computer operator follows my instructions. I frequently write reports to help others understand the solution given by the computer.
Statistician.
In government, private industry, and colleges, statisticians use their knowledge of math to work with the numbers in surveys, experiments, and opinion polls. They are able to interpret these numbers to tell us things about the future as well as the present. Statisticians design experiments, carry them out, and evaluate the information that is obtained. A statistician often works in only one area, such as economics, medicine, or engineering.
Physicist.
Lasers used in surgery, microwave ovens, transistor radios, and space shuttles are all the result of work and research by physicists.
Physicists use the laws and principles of matter and energy to solve scientific problems and to learn about the forces of nature from gravity to radiation. They often express their knowledge in mathematical formulas.
Much of our scientific knowledge, from atomic particles to the rings of Saturn, has been gained through their research.
Chemist.
Our Clothes, food, medicines, and many other products are partly the result of work by chemists like Vicky Audia and James Marshall. Chemists study and experiment with various substances, either to learn what they are made of, to improve them, or to learn to make new materials. Some chemists experiment with ways to make their company's products better and to develop new products. Some chemists test samples of products to be sure they meet quality and safety standards.
Atmospheric and
space scientist.
Atmospheric and space scientists, or meteorologists, study the atmosphere and the Earth's climate. Some look at information about the weather, like temperature, wind, and humidity, to predict the kind of weather we're going to have in the next few days or in the future. Some study air pollution problems, and others are experts on climate. Some prepare TV weather forecasts. The work of these scientists is important to everyone, from farmers to airline pilots to people planning vacations.
Geologist.
Geologists study and work with the Earth's crust, its structure, composition, and history. Some geologists examine rocks on and below the surface to learn more about a particular region, drawing maps and recording data they've found. For instance, they can tell from fossils what the Earth used to be like in a certain area. Others search for oil and mineral ores. Geologists also study earthquakes and ways of predicting when they will occur.
Forestry and conservation scientist.
Our forests are valuable. As a forester and conservation scientist, I deal with their development, preservation, and use. My work includes managing and growing forests, fire, flood, and insect control, and ensuring that when timber is cut, the forest and land aren't damaged. Other foresters do research on new ways of growing and protecting woodlands, or work in parks teaching visitors about our nation's forests. I like being able to do most of my work outdoors.
Agricultural and
food scientist.
With a growing world population to feed and clothe, scientists have a major role in agriculture. Agricultural and food scientists carry out research to find better methods of growing food and fibers. They look for breeds of plants and animals that provide more products for less cost and search for new ways to control disease and insects. Many products sold today, from vegetables to shoes, are better because of these scientists.
Biological scientist.
As a biological scientist, Pat DeCourcy studies living things. The research she does on animals and plants can be used to solve problems in medicine, industry, and agriculture. She does her research at the university where she teaches, but many biologists work for government and industry. Pat's research takes place in the animal lab and in her office, as well as on field trips to remote places.
If you want more information on these and other occupations, see your career counselor today.